Ahoy! Today we're going to look at 5 hands played by Roman Hrabec. He is making waves in the poker world. He is already second on Czech all-time money list and is knocking on the world's top 100. This is pretty impressive considering he started playing poker just a few years ago. These hands come from a special edition of GGMillions tournament with a whopping $12 million prize pool and almost $2 million for first place. I'm going to show you a few interesting preflop spots, and at the end we'll look at his bust-out hand that shows this guy is a sicko. First hand takes place just after the start of the final table. UTG raises with king-queen suited, and this is okay, but we can see that he should be very tight here, opening just a little bit more than 10% of hands. There is one very short stack with 5 big blinds and another player with less than 15 blinds, so his bubble factor here is pretty high. Roman, in the next sit over, decided to 3-bet his queens. Solver prefers to call with this hand, but 3-betting is on the table. We see that his value range is queens plus and ace king, and his bluffs should come only from some suited aces and kings. Because under the gun player is so tight, he should even fold hands as strong as pocket tens or ace jack suited. Everyone folded and the action was back on the Austrian player. He did 4-bet all in, and this is a clear mistake. He either folds out some bluffs, and it's not a spot where he should expect too many of them, or gets snap-called by hands that dominate him. If he wants to continue, calling is a better option, because at least he keeps some bluffs that he dominates, like king 5 suited, and still has a nice equity against ace-x hands. Anyway, calling is still worse than just folding. When we look at what Roman should do against 4-bet, we can see that he has pretty easy game, calling with value hands and folding bluffs. But he is so strong here that he can actually even fold some combos of ace-king off. This probably won't happen in game, and also I'm not sure if he finds all these bluffs, so 4-betting king-queen against this range gets even worse. Second hand starts with a raise from Ole Szemion. He is by far the shortest stack at the table, so he isn't affected by ICM that much. He can open more than 16% of hands here, and pocket 8s of course fit into that range. Roman decided to 3-bet his king 7 suited, and this is a mistake. There are some similarities between this spot and previous one. It's the bigger stack 3-betting shorter one, and in both scenarios there is almost no calling involved. But the difference is in how he should construct his 3-betting range. Here, against stack with 17 blinds, he shouldn't 3-bet polarized range. He should be wider here, and as a response he will see as many 4-bets as calls, so it's better to have a hand with good playability post-flop. And that's why hands like king-queen suited or king-jack are better than king-5 or king-7. Also because the potential 4-bet won't be that big, he can 3-bet king-queen suited and call it off against a 4-bet. For example, if the player in the next seat with bigger stack would open, then king-7 suited would be perfectly fine 3-bet on the button, despite overall 3-betting range being tighter. Ole folded his pocket 8s, and this is another mistake in that hand. When we look at what the solver does in this scenario, we see that it's almost an even split between all 3 possible actions, and the pair of 8s is a mix between calling and 4-betting. Solver against small sizing isn't folding any pairs. Next hand is an example on how we should play on a small blind on final table. Roman limped his ace-king. In this ICM scenario, where there is one short stack and a player on big blind is covering him, his bubble factor is very high and he shouldn't build pot out of position. Solver raises here with only 5% of hands, and ace-king off is one of the best hands to do that, but for humans I think it's a good idea to simplify this strategy and just limp with the whole range. Another hand is another example of ICM awareness. This is a situation where everyone has a very similar stack and bubble factors are pretty high for everyone, so it's a spot to tighten up. When we look at the cutoff opening range in the GPV scenario, we can see that it's around 37% of hands and the solver wants to open all pocket pairs. When we look at this scenario in ICM, opening range shrinks to 24% of hands and deuces and threes should be open folded, as Roman did, so well played here. Okay, now it's time for dessert. This is pretty crazy hand and I just want to share it with you. Our solver doesn't work with multi-way pots yet, so I won't show any GTO ranges, just enjoy the ride. It starts with a raise on the button and calls from both blinds. Up to this point I can tell you that everything is GTO approved here. And now the madness starts. Roman c-bet this very dry board with small sizing. This is a very good board for him, because he is the only player that can have pocket kings, aces and ace-king here, and he still has a lot of 8s. Small blind calls with king-jack and pair of kings is the most obvious hand he can have here. Now big blind raises. He is clearly representing an 8 for value, and if we want to find bluffs, it's probably hands like 9-7 suited that block most trips and have double backdoor potential. It's the only no-name player at the table, and I would assume that he isn't over-bluffing in that spot. Roman clicked it back, and this is a moment where I'm lost already. If we have any nutted hands with so low SPR and such a dry board, I don't see a point in raising here. Maybe with ace-8 to get value from another 8, but the only card he doesn't want to see is another king. In all other scenarios, it wouldn't be a problem to get stacks in on later streets, and with a call we keep bluffs that have very low equity in the hand. Now Binder decided to click it back. Here I can see a reason. He is out of position and that way he keeps the initiative, but with SPR around 1 already, I don't think this is necessary. Also, Roman is repping only best 8s for value, so he might get value owned himself with his 10-8. Roman is getting insane price, but on the other hand, he might be close to that already. I think this is a point where he should part with his hand. On the turn, Big Blind continues with his full house, and Roman calls with his open-ender. Pot is so big and sizing small enough that I don't hate this play. On the river, Big Blind checked, and Hrabec put the rest of his stack in. I personally don't like it. I like the check from the Big Blind. In how this hand played out, both players were representing an 8. When third 8 comes and Binder has the last 8 in deck, it's very likely Hrabec is on an airball. I don't see him playing ace-king or aces that way. Hrabec took his chance and bluffed, but what does he want to fold out? The only bluffs that make some sense for me are hands like 9-7 suited that block most of 8s and have double backdoor on flop and open-ender on the turn, but against this hand we still win at showdown with queen high. Is it genius or just spewing around? I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments what you think about this crazy hand. That's all for today, I hope you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe and see you next time. Bye!